So about 4 years ago, I smoked DMT at a music and arts festival, and it was the most horrific 20 minutes of my life, and it altered me forever from that day forward. But hey, if we're just meeting for the first time, my name's koharalan, and 20 years ago, I was crying out to God on the floor of a Broward County jail cell, asking for only one thing, truth. Well, I found that truth, and today I'm here to share it with you. Welcome to the Mantra Corner, where we discuss the stranger side of deep spirituality. Now, if that interests you, you might want to consider subscribing. Hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss anything. I post new videos pretty regularly, so that'll keep you informed. And also, please stick around to the end of this video because it's going to get pretty deep, and I don't want you to miss the insights and just have it come off like sounding like some kind of drug-addled hippie. There is a point to all this. But first, let me just go ahead and give you a little backstory. Now, like I said, 20 years ago, I was in prison. And I had a spiritual awakening there that was very, very intense. It altered my life radically, and it put me on an entirely different path. Now, I started experiencing these powerful Kundalini awakenings as a result of my contact with a powerful ancient yoga lineage. And as a result, I started experiencing these kriyas, which are these intense blasts of spiritual energy coming kind of from the base of the spine and purifying your system, is sometimes in a very uncomfortable and painful or, just radical way that is quite surprising, like anything I'd ever experienced, unlike anything I'd ever experienced before. And anyways, I was doing my best to align myself with this power and energy and, to do the right things in my life. My life was taking a totally different change. I got out of prison and completely turned my life around. I mean, I went back to school, got a degree. I started working on myself very, very deeply, intensely. I started, not getting in trouble all the time, and actually developing a fun group of friends who happened to like to party. And after a while, I started getting into that scene. And you see, what I found out was that I was just trying to have fun and have a normal life. I didn't really have time for all this spiritual awakening stuff. And these intense kriyas were really, really getting in the way of me living a normal life. So I found that actually if I started drinking, if I drank alcohol, it would suppress these spiritual energy outbursts, these kriyas. And it would kind of like allow me to function somewhat normally. And so the problem was I eventually developed a habit of drinking daily, which ultimately, led me to partying more and more and getting out of hand with that and ultimately doing cocaine every day with the alcohol. Nonetheless, it just got really, really bad there for a couple of years. And I knew better. I knew I had no business doing any of this stuff, really, being a spiritual, sincere seeker at that point. But life happens sometimes. And so I knew I was caught in this situation and it was destroying my health, but I couldn't get out of it. Nonetheless, that's where we find myself in that music and arts festival and walking with a friend of mine who was like, hey, there's a guy down there with a trailer. He's letting people smoke DMT. I was like, wow, oh, that sounds like fun. So I went down there and investigated. Now keep in mind, I was already on several other substances at this point in time. My mind was not very clear. I had been partying for a couple of days at this point. But nonetheless, I wasn't thinking too clearly, so I went ahead and I went right up to the guy and sat down in his chair, and he handed me the pipe, put the amount in there, which was an enormous amount of DMT. And I didn't think I was going to take it all, but apparently I did. And let me tell you. So I took the hit, and here's what happened. Within less than a second, the intense colors, patterns, flowers began appearing, talking to me. I knew I was in for a hell of a ride. So I immediately went to lay down, and I was just completely immersed in this other universe, this other dimension, this completely altered reality. My eyes could have been wide open or closed shut. It didn't matter. I was completely, totally immersed in this other dimension. The world that I had been in moments ago faded entirely. There was nothing left of it, and I was totally immersed in this amazing kaleidoscopic array of intelligent life just flooding my senses. And so I'll just describe what happened next as best I can. I saw there was all these other people who were getting ready to have these experiences. All these other beings were getting ready to have this amazing DMT experience along with me. And we were all getting on this escalator made of light, going up, up, up. And just then, I heard the buzzer like you hear in a basketball game. And I fell off of the escalator. And then beings started panicking all around me. Now, mind you, this is like if you're absolutely in the midst of a completely engrossing dream and you don't have any recollection of this world, you're totally invested in it. This is reality to you. And that's how it was. I couldn't even remember that I had taken a substance and I was altered. I mean, I guess I could, but it was just so intense at that moment. Like I said, I was completely immersed. So anyways, these beings are all panicking around me, and they're causing me to panic, and they're talking to each other, and they're letting me know at the same time that I've died. That something went terribly wrong in this experience. This is not a common experience. It's almost unknown about, but sometimes it does happen, and people just die. And there I was, facing my mortality. And moments ago, I had just been with my friends and loved ones. And I started thinking about all of my loved ones that I was going to be leaving behind and how stupid this was. Moments ago, we were just all having a good time. And also, now I'm going to be labeled as the guy who died at a drug festival, at a music festival of a drug overdose. Way to leave a legacy, buddy. Real good. Yeah, your family's going to be really proud of that one, aren't they? So, anyways, all this stuff is hitting me, and I mean, the grief is ripping me to pieces. I know that there's nothing that I can do. These beings around me now are all being horrendously vindictive and just telling me basically, you just need to accept this and get into that abyss because that's where you're going. And everything was starting to fade and suck me slowly but surely into this abyss. And I just wanted to end it at this point. I had done my best to accept it. I knew there was nothing I could do. There's not going to do any good to hold on. Like, this was the reality. And let me tell you, I have never, ever in my life experienced grief and sadness like that. It was horrible. And I slowly began flopping myself towards the hole just to end this horrific misery that I had been experiencing. And it just went on and on and on. And just as I'm about to be engulfed into the darkness, I open my eyes, and peering down from above is the dude who gave me the DMT. And he's looking at me very intently. Are you okay, buddy? Are you all right? Man, that was crazy. You were out for 17 minutes, man. I ain't never seen anybody go out that long. And I just stood up at him blankly like, I'm not dead? I couldn't believe it. I was completely awestruck. And I was not. You might think I would jump up and celebrate. No. I had just experienced the most pain, the deepest grief, the horror and agony. Unlike anything I could even comprehend. And it was going to take me several months to make sense of that experience. So, again, let me tell you what happened next. I began to assess the situation over the course of the next few months. I really started to look at my life and examine it and ask myself, why would I have gotten that experience? I mean, that was so horrible. It was so mean. It was so, terrible, painful. And it started to make sense to me. I realized that I had been struggling with these addictions and I had been debilitating my health, and I knew it. I knew it inside, but yet I was powerless to figure out how to stop it. I knew it was a problem, but I couldn't figure out how to make a new choice and stick with it. So, over the course of the next few months, I completely stopped all the drinking and all the cocaine use. I really started getting my life back together and making a plan to figure out the depth of my spiritual journey and really start to get back in line with it. And, for the next year and a half, I didn't drink a drop of alcohol. Now, I could take it or leave it. It's not a problem. But I had to go through that experience to really awaken me to the realization that I was destroying my health. I was destroying myself. And that very likely what happened in that DMT trip could have actually really happened in real life. I mean, I was like this close to something like that happening. Just accidental overdose. Stupidity. So anyways, I hope that is a lesson to someone out there. I hope, that might deter somebody from, smoking DMT unprepared. But then again, sometimes you get the trip that you need, not the one that you want, kids. So yeah, keep that in mind. And make sure if you've had any experiences like I have, please go ahead and share them below. Comment. Let's get a discussion involved. If you've ever experienced Kundalini Kriyas or something that you think might sound like that, with the energy bursts purifying you, causing your body to make jerky movements, causing you to say spontaneous mantras, Zaya Ma Yahweh Allah. So if you've experienced something like that, and you might be wondering what the hell is going on, you don't have anyone to talk to, well, I'm here to tell you it is just fine and you're going to be okay. It's very helpful to know that there are others like you who are experiencing and have experienced things like this, and that it's just part of this incredible process of spiritual transformation, which you are incredibly blessed to be experiencing. So, whatever form your path is taking you, I hope this finds you well, and many, many blessings and salutations to you. I hope to see you on another video. Make sure you stick around. We got a lot of good ones. There's one coming up right now. I'll see you soon. Om Namah Shivaya. Blessings and salutations to the Siddha